everybody in from the weight room. The chat room, rather, is open. So let me start off like I usually do for this class and ask if anyone has any questions about where we are before we get into the material today, which is long-term care is what we're going to talk about today. Questions from anybody about where we are, what we're doing, or what you need to be thinking about? Questions from anyone?
I have a question about the case study.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna keep grading them like you did the last study case? Because I think by an email that you saying you were grading harder the last past study case on like the writing, so we could be like prepared for the paper that it's at the end of, or the middle of the semester.
Yeah, good question. Thank you for asking that question. I did send out a few communications on this. What I'm doing with this is I gave you one deep dive view of your writing in this last discussion question, this last case study. I had suggested to you all that I was going to do two, maybe another one later. What I normally do for your case studies is I read them more for content. If there's some huge problem, with your writing, hang on a second here. If there's a huge problem with your writing and your weekly discussion questions, I am telling you about it. And that's not hardly anybody. But I only did this deep dive one time. I hinted at doing it a second time, but I'm not unless you request it. I don't want to keep doing these deep dives and telling you, what your writing problems are and then grading you down because I've found all these problems. I don't want to do that. I only wanted to do it once to tell you, to alert you that you got a problem and that you do need to work on it. And here's what the problems are. So I gave you, a detailed, here's where the commas are missing, the hyphens are missing, and all this other kind of stuff. So hopefully that'll be good enough for you to go find out what it is you need to do to correct that. Because when you get to the term paper, it's going to be a big deal. But to answer your question, I'm not going to keep nickel and diming you to death on this, on your weekly case study discussion questions. I'm not going to do that unless you ask me. So if you want another review to see how you were doing before you submit the paper, then I'll give you another review. Otherwise, we'll just do your paper. Now, you also have an opportunity to give me your paper as a draft to look at ahead of time, but I'm not going to look at it for grammar, syntax, and writing. That's what our writing center, that's what your tuition pays for. You got a writing center here, folks. Please use them. They have all kinds of wonderful resources to help you improve your writing. I don't teach writing. That's not my job. I'm supposed to hold you accountable for it, but it's not my job to teach it. So I'm not going to teach you writing. I'm just going to tell you where you've done stuff wrong. So when it comes to the draft paper you give me, I will talk about content, but you need to take my previous feedback on these on this one case study, or if you ask me to do a second one on whatever you ask me to do, to help you get what you need to straighten out that. Now, it's not going to be too calamitous. If you look at the rubric for the term paper, it's like 10% is for writing, 5% is for APA. So make certain you know APA. And then, how well you express yourself overall is another 10%. But students who those of you who got, only 2 students did well on their writing, and those 2 students got 10 points for this last discussion question. No one else did. All of you, all the rest of you, you got a problem with writing. You are at risk for losing at least 10% of your grade on the county paper because If you have more than 4 errors on one page, and this is I forgot how many pages it is, but more than 4 errors on one page, you're out. More than 10 completely, you're out. And most of you had 10 or more errors on this short post. So if I have you doing a multi-page paper, you're probably going to have a lot of errors on it as well. So all of you who got papers back with my marks on it, you're at risk for losing at least 10%, which means you don't get an A on the county profile paper, which is a big part of your course grade. So you really need to figure this out, whatever it takes for you to get that. And you can, again, I'm repeating myself, I know that. You can work on it and then give me another post to look at and see how I look at the next post. And that'll tell you whether you're ready or not. Or you can just simply forget all of that and just work with the Writing Center or any other editor, anybody else Now, here's the thing. Here's what happens with students who get mad at me, because students get mad at me every semester. At the end of the semester, they say, well, I had somebody edit my paper and it was, I don't know what, I can't be held accountable for the fact that you found somebody to edit your paper who didn't know how to edit your paper. So whatever you do, when you have another set of eyes on this paper, we're talking now about the county profile paper. Make certain that they know what they're doing as far as editing is concerned. Not everyone can edit. Just because someone looks at it doesn't mean that they can edit it, which is why I asked you to go to the Writing Center. Now, the Writing Center requires you to make an appointment. You got to set all this up because they're going to get, because everybody in the university is using this thing, not just our program or our college. Everybody in the university is using it. So if you want help from them, you got to think ahead and schedule it. Now, all but 2 of you, I'm telling you, all but 2 of you need help. So all but 2 of you should be scheduling time with the Writing Center unless you've got an expert editor or you know how you're going to fix this problem and not lose 10% of your course grade on the county profile paper. Unless I said all of that is a long way around your question. Your question was only, am I going to do it again on your case study post? And the answer is no, I'm not going to do it again on your case study post unless you ask me to. Good question. Thank you for asking me, giving me an opportunity to talk about that a little more, because that really is important, because it can make the difference. We don't have plus or minus grades in this college. It's an A or B. There's no A minuses, B pluses, anything like that. So you could actually drop from an A to B just based on the case study, based on the county profile paper alone, if you lose that many points, if you lose 10% on writing. Now, why do I do that? Because this is a healthcare administration program. And if you talk to any of the members of our advisory board, anybody that employs managers and other administrative personnel in healthcare, regardless of whether it's a health plan or a community clinic organization or a hospital, they will all tell you they want our college to do 2 things. They want us to teach you how to think critically and how to communicate well in both writing and oral presentations. So that's why I'm such a nitpicker, because they want to see, they're tired of getting students graduating who can't write. So they're asking us to crack down on that, and that's why I do that. On the oral communication, this is why I have you do the video presentation. We have 33 students in the class, so I can't have everybody do an oral presentation in class, which is what we would normally do. But I have you do the video recording, because I'll see how well you do oral presentations through the video recording. So that's the reason for the paper, and that's the reason for the healthcare reform video assignment. It's linked directly to what the people whom you want to work for in the future is connected directly to what it is that they're looking to see that you have. So that's the reasoning behind both of those assignments, and why I stress them as much as I do. It's really, these are really important skills to have. Again, thanks for asking that question. Other questions?